All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the first question here. First question is there a way to base a task date on the day the task template is applied? As an example, we sometimes have a house clean before the listing and sometimes before closing. The first task is to contact the seller and ask them what date they would like the cleaning crew to come. So we do not know the cleaning date yet, so we cannot find to base it off that. Okay, yeah, Nicole, there's no direct way. We don't have like a field. We've been asked this several times. It is on the idea list, I believe, and I think we are going to try to get this done sooner than later, but we don't have a date right now for like today. So you can't say like, I'm going to base this off of today, whatever today is. The best we could probably do is you could probably put a date in the field. So you could create a date for cleaning date and then, or start cleaning communication, or, you know, whatever you want to word it so that you guys know, but you may have to put a date in a field. So that's the way I would suggest to do it, is have that date to start cleaning task template or something like that. And when you put that date in there, then you can have all your other dates fire off that date. So that initial date that you put in there will be the date that you call the seller. Then there may be another field for the proposed date from the seller, the confirmed date from the cleaners, and so on and so forth. And then the actual cleaning day, things like that. And then you can base other tasks off that. Hey, follow up after the cleaning, or have someone run out and check it, or, you know, whatever your process is, then you can do it off that. But you would have to create that extra field for now. In the future, what I'd like to do is put a static field in there that you guys cannot change. And basically what it would do is update to today's date every day. The difficult part about that is everyone's on a different time zone. We have time zones, you know, probably like 8 deep now, 7 deep. So we have 7 hours of fluff in there for the new date to change over. So we just have to work some of that stuff out. Okay. Hopefully that answered your question. If you have any follow-ups on that, let me know. Or if you want to dig into the actual process, that's fine too. All right, Todd, good morning. We've started entering listings and transactions into the system. To choose an agent on the intake form, we had to create the agent as a contact. Yep, that's correct. You have to do that because those two things are not considered the same. And I'll dive into that after reading the rest of your question. Then we wanted to see what the agent saw in the portal. So we had to create the agent's record. Is there a way to do this one time rather than adding the agent information to the system twice? No. The reason being is the way that the agent portal is handled. It's a different user type in our database. And so it gives us a lot of flexibility without going into crazy detail on the development side. It gives us flexibility into things that we needed to do to make the system work the right way. And so unfortunately, there is one extra step. You have to create those contacts. Now you can upload those contacts in a CSV. So if you have all your agents in a CSV file, you can just upload those to the contacts. And then the only thing you're going to have to do manually is create those agent portals. The other thing I would say is in the future, we have considered doing like a CSV upload for agents into the agent portal. Probably not going to help you because you're going to have them all in there before we're done with it. But in the future, that is something we're considering, as well as having that CSV upload for the agent portal users to create it. There's some complications around that, but you can definitely right now go ahead and upload that CSV into the contacts so you don't have to do all those manually. So, okay. No more questions on here. So if anyone has questions, feel free to go ahead and, oh, here we go. Todd, understood. Under permissions for the agent, the only value is access all contacts. To what does that refer? Yeah, so great question. What that refers to is you can give access to your contacts, right? So like if you're on an agent team, it's going to differ wildly than if you're an independent TC. If you're in an independent TC, you may be working with 500 different agents from 500 different brokerages. The last thing you want to do is give them all access to all your contacts, right? As an independent. But on a team, you're more collaborative, and maybe you don't want your agents to have to enter the contacts in before they have to put them in the intake form. So you're just going to share all of the contacts in your database with the agents on your team. And so if you want to do that, you can just click access all contacts, and then the agents never have to go ahead and type in those contacts to their intake forms. They can just search for those contacts and find them. So it's a lot easier for them. But obviously you're not going to want to do that if you're an independent TC. Now, if you're on a team and you're highly collaborative, then, you know, that's an option we wanted to add for those people. Great questions. Okay, last question on my list. I like it, Todd. You came prepared with a list of questions. Okay, last question on my list. What are the characters allowed in choice options? Why are the characters allowed in the choice options so restrictive? Well, let me read the rest of your question. I'll tell you the reason for that. For example, I can't create a list of bath sizes 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Have you tried 1.5? Does that not work in there? I believe 1.5 works instead of 1.5. Commission percentages, 4%, 4.5%, 5%. What you're going to want to do is change that field type to a percentage. Periods are not allowed also. I will check that, Todd, because that should, I don't think that should screw up anything. So the reason why, okay, wait, let me read the rest of your question here. I had to create a bathroom count, just like 1, and the word spelled out and a half. Okay, I get it. The reason why we had to do that is because those asterisk, exclamation point, things like that, they're used in the coding of the program. And so when the back end of the system is looking through stuff, it gets really confused with quotation marks, dashes, underscores, things like that that are used on the code part of the system. So sometimes it doesn't recognize what you want it to recognize. And sometimes it does things that weren't intended to do by having those characters in there. We have talked about that to the dev team. They said they could open it up a little bit with some of the characters. What characters would be, let's see here, not to get all techie on this call, but could you just store the characters in escape form? Yeah, so like I said, yeah, I was talking to the dev team, and there is a way that we can get some characters in there. What would be, everyone on this call, this would be great to get your input. What are the characters that you would want to put in fields? Dashes, underscores, exclamation points, asterisks, things like that. Go ahead and just list them for me. And what I'll do after this call is I will contact our head developer, and I will just have a conversation with him, because I know we've talked about this several times, where I would love to have an @ symbol, and I would love to have like a dash. Dash would be great. I think dash, actually, I have some of those in my fields. Wait, let me look at my fields real quick. We might have added a couple, but just not all of them. Yeah, I have a dash here, so that works. Let me just see if I have anything else in here. No, I think that was the only one he added for me, was the dash. So yeah, this is great. So top of mind, periods, ampersands. Ampersand would be incredible, actually, because there's a lot of and in here, and that would save a lot of characters so you can see better. Hyphens and percentages. I'm talking about the choice options. Yeah, so let me go into the choice options real quick, and I was just looking at my regular fields just to let's see here, contract 7 state.
And while you're pulling that up, I do want to stress some strategies around, you mentioned there, Todd, tracking commission percentages. I know potentially if you're using the commission calculator, you may want to have those percentages used in that commission calculation, and the option to copy from field value, and also to sync values back. And so making sure you have the correct field type, if you're using a tool like that, you're always going to want to default to a percentage field type instead of a choice option to get it to work with that template. Same thing with like a days type field. We do require that to be a date and a number field to work with the template. So just keep that in mind as you're strategizing as well.
Yeah, I was just going through here and typing in some of these, and it just deletes it on you as you type it. Let me talk to the developer about that, but I'll give him some of the suggestions that that we talked about here, and we'll see if we can maybe get some of those added. Okay. Actually, if whoever's answering these questions, if you want to take a note of some of these before you answer them so that we have a record of them, that would be great. And then just Slack me that list and I'll get with who I need to get with, and we'll take care of that. And not being able to add punctuation on field names is also frustrating. What kind of punctuation do you want on a field name? Do you want like, I mean, I wouldn't put like a sentence with like a question mark or a period, but you could, I guess. Question mark might be helpful because I do have like questions in here. But I just word them different, so I don't need the punctuation. Let me go up to field groups. Yeah, like some of these, is house built prior to 1978? No question mark. I think the agents get the point, but we could try to put that in. Received Y/N. Yeah. I mean, in the choice field, you could have a yes or no and a what do you call it? Radio button, so they can see it right below it. If you do use the radio buttons here, it is going to create that radio button. So yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate that feedback. All right, we're out of questions. So if you guys want to pop some more questions in there, that would be great. Reset this and go back out to the, all right. All right, just to kind of review, I'll go over kind of my housekeeping stuff now, since while we wait for some more questions. On the homepage, if you go into the Learn tab, you're going to see the Webinars tab. We did change the format recently, so now you have the days. So on the 12th, you have this. Obviously, we're in this right now. You have on the 18th, you have this, the 19th, and it'll list all these workshops and group classes that we have. So definitely look at those, attend those. These are really good to get into specific information on things that you need to review. The other thing is our support center. Definitely get in here if you want to learn about smart blocks. Just start typing smart blocks, and you're going to get lots of articles and videos that you can dive into. Okay, up here, you got your support center here link as well. And you also have the Idea Lab. So if you have ideas for the program, like the one that Todd just had, go ahead and type them in the Idea Lab. We do take a look at those. We're revamping the Idea Lab now. I'm not sure the status of that. Maybe Jana, you can jump on and
Pop it
give
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to open it up? We'll take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the team's been going through as we've been making updates to the system. We didn't have a way to show you guys that your ideas were taken into consideration and completed. And so we're doing an audit of the Idea Lab to go through and add those to this completed tab that we see here. We'll be able to send you guys those updates as we have those ideas completed as well. So that way you can see the impact. You know, we really do appreciate the feedback that our users provide, and having those wins in the system is just as exciting for us. And so trying to create a place for you guys to post ideas, but also see what changes we're making and be able to tie that into our change log. So.
That's funny. We got some downvotes on some of these. All right, cool. Well, yeah, go ahead and upvote them. We may put a limit on this in the future. Like, I hate when people come in here and just upvote everything. Yeah, it would be great to have everything. Of course it would. But honestly, like 3 upvotes per person. That way we can get a really good read on what's important in the program and what's not. What's, you know, people are just upvoting everything on the whole list. We do have limited resources. So it's really good to get an accurate read of, like, if we limit you to 3 to 5 choices, you're going to pick your 3 to 5 best ones, and then we're going to get that accurate information. So this may change in the future, but there's some cool changes coming where we're going to give you more updates, like Jana said, and hopefully you guys can see what's going on a little bit easier. All right, cool. Keyboard shortcuts, definitely take a look at those if you have time. And the change log, that's a big one. You can see what changes came into the program. Federal holiday function came in recently. Here's a little blurb on that. Lots of stuff here. So if you're looking for something, or you want to know what was updated recently, just scroll through this list. It's a really nice list. Cool. No questions. Yep, go ahead.
So we had a new feature that came on from the Idea Lab. Actually, we haven't had a chance to get it into the change log just yet, but spell check.
Oh, spell check. Yeah. So when you're in your emails now, let's go over to templates, actually. It doesn't really matter. Let's go to email. We'll go to the emails here. So when you're in here now, and you start typing, and just ignore this stuff. If I type road, road, now it's going to give you this red line under it, and you're going to be able to change it. So spell check is in the program. You no longer have to use Grammarly. I know Grammarly was slowing down some people's computers, so we got that. Once we heard that it was slowing things down, there are other options besides Grammarly if you still want to use an outside program, but we did build it into the editor, the text editor. So hopefully that has a great impact. I know we got a lot of positive feedback on that in the Facebook group. The other thing that I don't think people are utilizing much yet, but we did add this feature. So let's say you want to edit a bunch of fields at one time. You don't want to have to click into each one individually. You can hit this property edit form and get this view, and you can go down and edit. I would say a little bit easier than you could if you were just going through your list of fields. So that's there now. We also have the this timeline now you can pop open and see all your dates. So if your dates are scattered through your templates or your field sections, if like I like my dates with the stuff that it makes sense. Like I want my appraisal date with my appraisal details. Well, a lot of people were just sticking all the dates up here because they wanted to see them in an orderly fashion. Well, now you don't have to do that. You can put them down here where they belong, but now you have this little pop out where you can actually see the date. You can click on it to edit it. You can still do all the same stuff from this menu as well. Okay, that was added. What else? There was one more. Oh, federal holidays. In case you weren't on here last week, let's just take a quick look at that. Is that in the global settings now? Let's see. Yep, federal holidays in the global settings. And you can come down here. If you're in Canada, you can totally change all these. If you're in the United States, these should do it for you. You do have a couple extras that you can add if you have something out of the ordinary. You also have the option to come in here and change third Monday in January, or you can make it a specific date, January 1st. So anyway, this is here. Hopefully this makes things a lot easier, especially Juneteenth was kind of tripping us up there for a while because our library didn't have that in. We input our library before Juneteenth was official. And so, so anyway, hopefully that clears up a lot of that confusion. All right, quiet bunch today. A lot of people on here, but no questions. Jana, anything else the team has been experiencing this week that we need to get into? I know triggers has kind of been a big thing, but do you have anything else?
So we're seeing some more smart block questions come through on the implementation side,
Okay.
just with some strategies around building smart blocks, which ones make the most sense for accounts, but how to change email content to smart blocks. What's the best practice there would probably be good.
Whoops. Let's see, Control S will pop open that smart block side, just in case you guys want a shortcut to that. You don't have to go to the menu. If anyone has any specific questions, yeah, Pam said smart blocks, yes, please. A lot of different things you can do with smart blocks. A lot of different strategies here. Let's see, smart blocks have been a real pain. Okay, so let's take a look here. Some of the big things that you can do in here are contact loops. Okay, so if you want a list of people to come into your email automatically based on who's in the transaction, we can do that through contact loops. Let me show you contact loops actually. So if you do Control A, it's going to pop open all of your merge fields. Okay, you also have all your contact roles here. You click on a contact role, you can bring in a merge field for whatever you want on that contact. Here are all your smart blocks that you can click on. It will copy, see a little copy down here, and then you can paste it into an email. Smart block groups. So you got smart block groups in here as well. Utilities. So here's where I really wanted to get to. These contact loops right here. A contact loop basically starts a contact. So let me go ahead and find one here. I think this might be one. Nope. Let me go back. Let's see if I can find. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the smart blocks in this account, so it might take me a couple of seconds. Okay, here we go. So in this smart block, we want the buyer, all the buyers, right? There may be 5 buyers in a property, and there may be 2 buyers in a property. It doesn't matter. You want to set up your email templates so it, all of those people will come in regardless if there's 1 or if there's 50. So what you can do here is you can put buyer's information. So this information isn't a smart block. It isn't a merge field. It's just words, right? So this is coming in every single time. If this smart block triggers by the condition, so if buyer agent exists in property or buyer exists in property. So if either one of these come in, or actually both of them have to exist on this one. Because you have this hard-coded information in here. You don't want to put this in if only the buyer exists and no buyer agent, because then this buyer agent information wording will be here with nothing under it. Okay. So there is a way around that. You could split these up into separate smart blocks, is what I would do. You would have buyer's information in one smart block, buyer's agent information in another block, and then you would just have one condition. If buyer exists, bring in this top part. If buyer agent exists, bring in this bottom part. Then I'm not going to go into it now, but you can get really complicated and go into a smart block group. And then you can have another set of conditions that says, if buyer exists, bring in this smart block. If buyer agent exists, bring in this smart block. And you can have a list of them. So you only have one merge field in your email, but it's handling maybe 20 of your smart blocks at one time. So there's videos on that. I'm not going to go too deep on that today, but let me just tackle some of the this contact loop stuff. So buyer's information, it's going to loop through all of your buyers. So if you have 5 buyers, it's going to put in the first person's full name, their email, their cell phone, their address. It's going to put a space. This is really important. So this right here, this BR tag, this is a space. So before you want it to list the next contact, you probably want a space in between them. Make sure you're putting this BR tag in there. And then you're going to end the contact. What it's going to do here is go and look for another buyer. So it's going to go through the first buyer. It's going to space, and then it's going to start looking for the second buyer, and it's going to put their information directly below the first person's information. So it will list out 50 buyers if you really wanted to. This is great. I use a lot of different forms of this. So I'll use it in home inspector recommended. Okay. So if an agent has like 3 home inspectors, a lot of agents are afraid just to recommend one person for liability reasons. So what they'll do is they'll recommend 3 or 2 or 4 or whatever. What you can do is on the intake form, ask them, who do you want to recommend for this deal? Which inspectors do you want to recommend? And if they put in, let's say 3 people, well, what you're going to do is you're going to put in a merge field, a smart block in this email for home inspector recommended by agent, okay, or however you want to word it. And then it's automatically going to go in there and look for those contact roles, home inspector recommended by agent, and it's actually going to list those people in your email. So now you can create one email for all 500 of your clients. If, say you're working with 500 different agents from 500 different brokerages that all use 500 different inspectors, right? Or 1,500 different inspectors, because there's 3 each. Now you can create one email and put that contact loop in there. And what it's going to do is go over to your contacts in your, so it's going to come over to your contacts tab, and it's going to look for anyone with home inspector recommended by agent. Okay. And it's going to grab all 3 of those people, and then it's going to stick them in that email. Now, home inspector recommended by agent in this example is different from the actual home inspector I'm sorry, I got tongue tied there. The actual home inspector that was chosen. Once they choose that home inspector, you're going to want to change this recommended by agent to the actual home inspector that they chose. Now, what that can do is that can go over to your email templates, and it can say, hey, if I have a home inspector, I need to send them this email. So now you're sending them that email. Hey, welcome to the transaction. We know you were the chosen home inspector. Can you please provide us with dates and times you're available, or, you know, whatever those emails are that go out. But you have to be cognizant of that home inspector recommended by agent is different from the actual home inspector. And you can have different triggers and tasks and things set up based on the contact roles of those people. Okay, so you can do this with insurance agents, anyone that the agent is recommending, home warranty companies, anyone like that. So now you can just have one email, and all you have to do is either have the agent put it in, or if you know the agent and you know how they work and it's the same 3 people every time, you could just insert a contact group of those 3 people. Or let me actually give you a couple ideas here. I know we're bouncing around, so stick with me here. And if you guys have questions or get lost, message me in the Q&A and I'll slow down and revisit something. So one of the things you're going to want to do is, let's say that there's 3 recommended inspectors, and Pam, she's my agent, she recommends the same 3 people every single time. So what you can do is you can either come to connections and you can list those 3 home inspectors in here, okay? And you don't have to click this, or you can click it. So if you click it, anytime Pam is added to the transaction, Andy's going to be added as well. And maybe someone else, and maybe someone else, right? So we can add those people automatically. If you don't like that suggestion, because Pam does listings too, and maybe you're not bringing in the home inspectors every single time, what you can do is create a group, and you can create a group of Pam's home inspectors recommended. And what you can do in that transaction is when you come over to that transaction, let's go into this transaction, you can come into contacts, and you can say assign contact group. And now I can come over to those recommended. Okay, we have no one in our groups, but oh, here we go. Inspectors, Pam. So assign contact group, yes. And now all those people come in. Well, Pam came in because she was part of that group, but we also had Pam set up that anytime Pam comes into the transaction, Andy comes in. So you can see how that connection worked there. Okay, so we can get, if you guys have specific things that are difficult for you, or that you're spending extra time typing, make sure you're reaching out to support, because we probably have some cool ways to fix these things that you're dealing with. So, but that's just one of them. And groups are really cool, and so are these connections are really cool. And then I'm going to go into an email next after I answer this question. I'm going to show you the contact loops and some of the other stuff. So. Okay, can you show me that timeline thing again? Oh yeah, sure. So if you're in the transaction and you want to know all your dates, regardless of where they're at in your fields, like let's say you have 200 fields in here and you don't feel like scrolling down and looking for all your dates, all you have to do is click on this little clock up here and the timeline will come in. We don't have any dates in this field, in this is a test transaction, but they would be listed here. So let me go back to a transaction here. There we go. So there are all your dates, and then you can click on that, and then you can, same as if you clicked on it over here. Okay, hopefully that helped. Okay, so let's get back to these smart blocks, because I kind of went off on a tangent on contact loops, just because I think it's a really important smart block to know and to get familiar with, because if you are working with multiple agents, it's going to be less emails that you have to create. It's going to be less processes that you have to create. If you can just input that, either they can input the contact, or you can input the contact on the in the contacts for them, or you can fill out the intake form for them. I don't know how your business is running, whether you're having the agents do it or whether you're doing it. If you're doing it, obviously it's going to get done right every time, and you can put those people in correctly. Okay, let's go back to smart blocks and look at a couple other examples here, because smart blocks are really, really powerful. Another thing I will mention before we get into that, let me get this thing. Sorry, I got this Zoom thing on my screen and it keeps getting in my way. Pull that down here. Okay. So another thing in here for smart blocks is, let's see, contact loops. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you the support center, and I wanted to show you smart blocks, email templates. I think there's one in here called, here it is. Email templates, merge fields, and smart blocks, November 2021. This is a really good overview of everything I just talked about and how to use smart blocks in your initial emails to cut down on your time on those initial emails, so that you can create that one template email that handles 500 different agents. Okay, so definitely watch this if you haven't already. You can speed it up if you want. It's about 20 minutes long, I think, but it really goes into detail on some of the field email templates, smart blocks, merge fields, things like that. And I think it's really helpful. Okay, so let's go down through some of these. I'm just going to look at them and see. Another thing I will mention on smart blocks is be really cognizant of, make sure it's turned on, first of all. If you want to clone it, you can clone it. If you have one that's going to be very similar to this, but just a little bit different, you're going to want to clone it. That way you don't have to recreate it from scratch. This one is really important. A lot of people get tripped up on this one. This is inline. This means that this smart block is going to come in on the same line. Okay, so let me click on this real quick. This wording, you see how it's like an extension of a sentence. It's and co-buyer agent full name. Notice there was already a period in the email template, so we don't need a period in the smart block. Pay attention to your punctuation and your spacing. If you notice here, there's a space here. Okay, so if this comes in, we want to make sure there's that space in between that last word. Okay, and co-buyer agent full name, and then there would be a period here. Let's see here. What else do I want to address? Let's So this inline, basically this is going to put it on the same line as the rest of the wording. If you didn't have that inline, so if you turn this off, what it would do is it would take this and co-buyer agent and it would actually put it down on the next line. So if you're getting some funky stuff there, let us know. It's probably an inline issue. If you're getting any other kind of stuff that kind of looks wonky in there, we'll go in here and we'll take a look at this and make sure all the code, all the source code looks okay. Okay. All right, just gonna go down a couple more until we have any questions. We still don't have any, so we'll just kind of go down through here. You can put bullet points in your smart blocks. Just make sure that you're testing these and making sure that they're coming in the email right. Make sure your conditions are right. You know, does this all, you know, will there be an appraisal is equal to yes? Is that the only thing that you need to be yes for this to come in? If so, we're good here. And just make sure that this sentence applies every single time this is yes. Okay. Sometimes you have to create two smart blocks and put them side by side. And if you create one choice, one smart block will come in. But if it was the other choice field, the other one will come in.
I'm gonna piggyback on that too. That's right.
Yep.
So one thing that we see when troubleshooting smart blocks, why didn't this pull in correctly? There may be times where you're building a smart block, you added in a new field to control when that's being added into those email templates, but that field was not added to your property through your intake form. So just keep in mind, if you are building that conditional logic, double check that that field is being added in when you're creating the properties and when it's needed to ensure that your smart blocks are also working correctly.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Earnest money. Here's another one. So please deposit your earnest money with title officer business name, right? Okay. This is, I think this is one from my original, I think this is from my email that I use for my business. We changed it up a little bit since then, but okay. So this comes in as a bullet point. There's a bullet point in the email with a smart block after the bullet point. That's the way I prefer to do it versus a bullet point in here, unless there's sub bullet points, but you can do it however works for you. So please deposit your earnest money. I always put this in red just because it's something, you know, people don't read emails. And this is kind of further down on the email. This is the initial email. This is probably 2/3 of the way down. I know they're not going to read the full email. So I am highlighting with red. I hate, well, I shouldn't say I hate. I don't prefer to put a bunch of colors in my emails. I think it gets confusing. I think the data has shown that people get super confused and it's not great to use more than, you know, 2 or 3 colors in your emails if you're going that far. I would stick to red just for the important points if you can, just from what I've read. So ways to get earnest money to title, drop it off to the title company, right? No additional smart blocks in here, no merge fields. We got a merge field up here. Wire the money to the title company. There's a merge field in here. Do not trust wiring instructions, all that good stuff, right? And then there's a merge field here, title officer first name, right? So I want the title officer in here because she's the one that's going to arrange for that courier to pick up the check from them if they choose this option. So a lot of people tell me, I don't want to use smart blocks. I don't want to use merge fields. I don't want to use any automation because it makes me look impersonal. If anything, it makes you look more personal and more high touch and more like you know what's going on in your transaction by having this in here, because now it's going to say Tiffany can arrange for a courier. Like most people don't have this option in their program. So creating these, I think, gives you a higher level of touch and trust with the client. And then down here, you can say when earnest money receipt date is not blank. Now, this one isn't my real one. What I would put in here has earnest money been arranged? Has it been arranged? Because they may call you before work at 8 o'clock and say, hey, at the end of the day, I'm going to go drop off earnest deposit at the title company. Great. I know it's coming. I don't have the receipt date yet. I don't have anything official, but what I'm going to do is, has earnest money been arranged? I'm going to say pending or something like that. And that way, this doesn't come into my email. If I'm sending any emails to them, I know that they're going to go drop it off there and you know how to get it there. I'm not going to send an email 10 minutes after they told me they're going to take it there and they know how to get it there and send them an email on how to get it there. I'm going to look like I have no clue what's going on with my own transactions. So extra fields can be really helpful. You just kind of have to think through the scenarios and say, here's the pain point that I'm having. Contact us and we can help you brainstorm ways to fix that. It may take you an extra second to add an extra field, but it may solve 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes of problems in the long run. So keep that in mind. Are these weekly webinars available to see at a later date? Yes, we record all of these when I remember, Lance. So I did remember today to record this. So this is recorded. And I will get this over to the content staff and they'll go ahead and post them up on, I think they're posted up on YouTube. I think YouTube right now is where they go. And then they're also in our support center. If you come over to our support center and go down to, where are they? Webinars. There you go. Here's workshop Wednesdays. So you can see there's a couple dates missing in there that I forgot to hit record, but for the most part, they're all in there. All right.
Cool. We're on that topic too. It does take a little longer to get them into our knowledge base, but if you check our YouTube page, they're typically up within 1 to 3 business days on YouTube.
Yeah, and if you subscribe to our if you subscribe to YouTube on our page, it will actually send you a notification on your phone every time something's uploaded. So if you want those instant notifications that something's been uploaded, just go ahead and subscribe to the Open to Close YouTube page and you'll get those weekly. Okay, cool. Financing expectations. Let's skip over that one. Which way? Oh, let me show you quickly. I'm going to show you. Let me see if there are any in here. Oh, one thing I'll touch on before I move here. Categories. You notice that these are in categories. Like sometimes I'm looking for a certain smart block, and obviously I can type it in, but maybe I don't remember the title of it. But I know it's in the intro email. So what I can do is I can come down to here and I can say intro email, and now it's just going to show me my smart blocks that have to do with my intro email. Okay. So that's a real handy thing. It's going to make this orange so that you're not like, oh crap, all my smart blocks got deleted. And you're like, no, you just have a category on. So you can come down here and say all, and then it'll change it back to all. So just know that that's there. It's a really helpful thing. Okay, here's add a smart block. You can put in that information. I always recommend putting the merge field, just copying what you have in the block name. So if you have like that, just copy that and then just paste it down here, and it's going to take all the spaces and everything out for you and put the underscores in. So that way you can keep it nice and clean and the titles correspond to the merge fields. The other thing here is smart block groups. So you have a contact list here. This is what I was talking about earlier. This has a condition to come in, right? I represent the buyer, so I want this list of people to come in. But then each one of these smart blocks has their own individual conditions. So this one will only come in if there's a buyer. This one will only come in if there's a buyer agent. This one will only come in if there's a lender. This one will only come in if there's a seller listed. The advantage to this is this, and this could go down 40 different contacts, right? That could come in or couldn't come in. This could be pest and home inspector and whatever you guys want, right? Oh, geez, Todd was our 666 YouTube subscriber. I don't know if I like that, but good luck to you. So if you have 40 different contacts here, what this is one line in your email, one smart block group line in your email. So instead of having to put all of these smart blocks listed 40 deep in every single email that this applies to, you put them in a group, and now you just have a one-line group that you can pop into that email, and it looks super clean, and you don't have to worry about having all those lines and scrolling down through your template emails to see what the heck's going on. So, and you can always look here. If you highlight this, just double click on any of these and you click on this SB, and it's going to pop up what this actually looks like and what the condition is. And that way you're not bouncing back and forth from here to there, here to there, here to there. Now, unfortunately, you can't edit it here. This is just so you don't have to keep bouncing back and forth. But if you do need to edit this, you do need to get out of it. Can you add? No. Oh, interesting. You can do that, but you can't edit the base of the information in there. So if I double click on that and hit it, it's going to show me all the different ones. Okay. All right, I think that's as deep as I want to go with smart blocks. Unless you guys have questions, I would definitely recommend watching that video on merge fields and smart blocks. It's a really good one. Any other topics you want to hit, Jana or crew?
I'm just going to pay back one last strategy there.
Sure.
Smart blocks are not something that you want to be doing when you first are building out your account.
Thank you.
Focus on the foundation, your fields, file roles, contact roles, tasks, emails, and start weaving in your smart blocks as you're using the system in your day-to-day too. You come across an email where you're deleting out a chunk of information or you're adding in a chunk of information. If you have 5 minutes, take the time and build a smart block. Plug it into that email template. So next time you use it, that smart block is there and implemented. So that way you're not having to go in and mastermind and map out every possible smart block in one sitting. It's not realistic. If you can, get the bulk in as you're building and ready to take that on, and then just keep adding to this, keep building that smart block foundation, and it'll keep growing over time.
That's a great point. So yeah, when you first get into the program, like Jana said, contact roles, file roles, fields, emails, tasks, right? That is the baseline. That's what most people are using now. We want to get you using the program just like you're using it now. Then we're going to upgrade over time. Smart blocks is one of those things where you're going to be able to, let's just say you're using Google canned responses right now, for an example. You're going to have your base email, right? Go ahead and put your base email in here, but take all the things that could or could not come into that email and put those in a separate Word doc. Like, these are my clauses that could come in, right? If there's septic, I want to put in this paragraph. If there's a co-buyer agent, I want to put in their name. If there's a well, I want to put in the sentence, et cetera, right? We could go on for hours on clauses that could or could not come into these emails. What you want to do is take those clauses after you have the foundation set up, and then start thinking about, okay, if there's septic, so that's my condition. If septic equals yes, bring in this smart block. And then you would create that smart block of whatever that wording is. You probably already have it somewhere. You probably already have it in an email and you're just deleting it out or something, right? If you're new. So what you can do is create a clause out of that, which in our program would be a smart block, and then put your condition on when it comes in and then add it, test it, use it in a transaction. Don't add 50 smart blocks and then try to figure out what's wrong and what worked. What you're going to want to do is put in one smart block, test. Looks good, great. Go to the next smart block, test. Looks good, great. Go to the next smart block and do it that way, because going back and trying to find a mistake is really difficult when you added too much stuff without testing. So just a word of advice, something we've seen people stumble with quite a bit in the past. I'm brand new. Should we be using our FUB numbers instead of our cell numbers? Can we use our FUB number for our texting and open to close? Can they be the same? Not to confuse the client. Unfortunately, they can't be the same because we're two different companies, and Twilio, who's our backing, both companies use Twilio for their phone systems. We can't like connect the accounts because we're not the same company, right? And so you do have to have separate numbers. So what I would advise for you, Lance, is your agents are using those FUB numbers and your TCs are using the OTC number. If you still want the TCs and the admin using FUB numbers, that's fine. Use our number for automated texting, right? Like the sign went up in the yard, have an email go out to the client, and you could just say at the beginning of that email, Hightower Real Estate, do not respond. And then the text underneath it, or automated message from Lance, automated, and then the message under it. What's a FUB number, Pam? It's a separate program. Follow Up Boss is a CRM that we integrate tightly with. And so a lot of people are using both systems. So, but yeah, so to answer your question, if you're brand new, keep the agents in FUB. You're going to link all these transactions. You're going to send a deal from open to close to FUB so that the agents can see the deals right in Follow Up Boss. And then you're going to use those numbers for your agents because they are very powerful over there. You got your inboxes, you got all the good stuff over there, and then use our system for either the TCs and admins have numbers in our system, or you could just totally scrap that, use Follow Up Boss still for that, and then use ours for the automation piece of it, where you check off this task, this text goes out reminding them that they still need to do this or that. And you can put that as a title. So let me give you an example. And let me give you this in this one. So here's something very important when you're using texting. Make sure you do this. Always put the property address up here. If they have 4 different properties going on, they have no freaking clue what you're talking about. This is to confirm the inspection the buyers have scheduled for blah, blah, blah. You're like, what transaction? So always put this property address as a merge field up top in your text. And then you could also do something like this. Automated, do not respond, right? Something like that. Okay, so hopefully that helps. You know what? I don't know if you guys are using this for anything else, so let me take that out. Okay. Cool. All right, it is 11:45. We'll go ahead and wrap this up early if you guys don't have any other questions. As always, appreciate you guys being on here and, getting better with the system. And, oh, here, what's this? It would be nice if when we get a response from text sent out, it will also give the address. Yeah, can't do that, Glenda, unless they put it in there. Unfortunately, texts aren't threaded. This is the whole problem we have with texting. So this is why we created the texting dashboard, because when an email comes, or I'm sorry, when a text comes in, it has no clue what they're texting about. They could be texting, "Hey, I like your new haircut," or they could be texting about 123 Main Street. We have no clue, and there's no way for us to know that in the system. Now, with some of the with the AI coming out, yeah, we might be able to parse some of that out in the future, but for right now, it's in its infancy, and so we don't have that built yet. But what the issue is it doesn't know. Like, they could say in the same text, "Hey, 1231 West Taylor is going good, but Bonnie Bray is really crappy, and I need the document for blah, blah, blah." And now you're like, oh shit, now they just talked about two different properties in one text. So what we did was we're able to at least assign it to one, which is great. This at least puts it in the transaction so you can audit that later. But the problem we have with text coming back is they don't know if you respond. They don't know what they're responding to. They're not an email where it's threaded, where it knows that you're responding from that email. So what we're doing is we're creating messaging. Okay. And there's a lot going on with messaging right now. I'm not going to go deep into it, but basically what a message is it's an email and a text had a baby and got all the good DNA and got rid of all the crap. Okay. So our emails or our messaging is threaded like an email, which is great. You can also see who read it. If you want to resend that response quickly, you can do that. The cool thing about these messages is that they go to their email. So it looks like an email from you, but when they respond, what we're doing is we're threading that and we're sending it right back into the transaction. And it's actually alerting you right here. It'll have like a little number by this message. And then down here, you can see which ones are new, read, sent, pinned, archived. And so it's really cool. There's a lot of other options that may come with that in the future, but for right now, it's just really cool to be able to message back and forth with your agents and keep that all in the transaction so that you're not having to go to your email inbox with 250 emails. Now, you guys are all detail oriented, so maybe you guys have inbox zeros going on, but most of the agents that I've seen, they got thousands of emails in their inbox. And so what we don't want is all this junk going to email that you have to triage every day and possibly hire a VA to sift through, because there's just a lot of work in email. So we're trying to get rid of email and text and bring it all into messaging. But when we send messaging out, we want to hit the clients with what they already know. We don't want them to have to log into our system. What we want to do is send them a text message, send them an email, send them a push notification so that they can respond in the fashion that they already know. But when they respond, it comes right back into open to close. Is it working? Yes, it is only on our scale plan right now. So whether you're on the scale plan or not, I don't think you are, Glenda, but if you are, then you have access to the messaging, and it's only going to get better over time.
I actually sent a text message to this account. So if you want to show what it looks like, as an example, you have an example now. It should be a new.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. So here's I can assign a contact to it. So we don't have a contact for this person yet. So I can assign a contact and I can assign a property. So I can say, I know this is 1231 Taylor or 123 First Street. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to that. And then this message has not been assigned to a contact. I'll go ahead and search contact and say, Michael Scott. And now we're good to go. So I can click into this. I can respond to it. I can do whatever. So you can assign it to a property here as well, or set it to red or whatever. Thank you for doing that. Okay. So 11:50, let's see what the comments are here. It'd be nice if we get a response from text center. Yeah, so that's what we covered. That's awesome. Is it working? Yeah, we covered that. I'll look into the scale plan. Yeah, feel free. Reach out to support if you're interested in the scale plan. I think that messaging is going to be a game changer when people utilize it. And like I said, there's going to be other features in the future that we can add to that to make it even better. Yeah, Pam said, I love messaging. That's awesome. All right, cool. Well, thanks, guys. Let's see. Everyone on the West Coast, stay safe this week. It's going to be brutal temps. Yeah. So that's why I'm in California, man. But yeah, everyone stay safe. And thanks for being on here. And we'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a good day.